Hey, thanks for clicking. This is Rocky here with my top moments from episode 19 of Arrow. This was a very important episode. We had a lot of big reveals happen, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in. My number 6 top moment of the episode, Oliver inside Ray. Now that's awkward. So we had a team up in Flash, so might as well have a team up in Arrow, right? Oliver is unable to make any moves as he's being watched by Captain Lance. He has no choice but to enlist the aid of Ray and his Atom suit. Due to Ray getting his metal butt handed to him by the new Metahuman in town, they decide to use a neural link which will put Oliver in command of the Atom suit while Ray's wearing it. While it did provide for some obvious comical moments, it did seem to drift a bit close to Iron Man territory once again, in my opinion. Number 5. Metahuman Rampage in Starling. Starling City gets its first taste of a metahuman villain in the form of Jake Simmons, who also goes by the name Deathbolt. He's portrayed by Doug Jones in this episode, and he gives a very strong and menacing performance. They alter his powers a bit, as in the show he converts energy into plasma, which he can use to shoot from his eyes, increase his punching power, and it also appeared to grant him some level of superhuman strength. I really wanted to see more of him on the show, but maybe on the Flash since he's in the particle prison at this point, right? One of the huge takeaways from him is that he did not acquire his powers in Central City during the particle accelerator explosion. This makes us wonder how many metahumans are going to be out there. Number 4. General Shrive is a dick. The flashbacks this week were actually really good and seemed more entertaining than parts of the main story. We learned that Waller was not behind the attacks on Oliver and the Yamashiros, as she's actually been held captive herself. In fact, it was General Shrive, as he has a plan to unleash the virus stolen from China White on the populace of China itself. Oliver and the Yamashiros steal enough antidote for the 4 of them, though Oliver encourages the Yamashiros to save themselves and their son, as he's planning on going to try and stop the virus from actually being used by Shrive. Masao and Tatsu decide to help Oliver as they need to set a good example for their son. So it seems like the China flashbacks might be coming to a conclusion at the end of this season. So where's Oliver going to end up next? My money's on Russia. What do you guys think? Number 3, Roy had a plan. Roy naturally has a tough time in prison, as everyone thinks he's the Arrow, but it's all part of his plan. But we see him get cut multiple times and just beat up, and it's not a fun place for him right now. But again, he feels like he needs to be in prison. We get some really great emotional moments with Oliver and how Roy wants to save him, as Oliver saved Roy by making him part of the team and giving him the Arsenal identity. Then there's Thea. You could just see how hard Roy wanted to tell her his plan, but he had to hold back. I know I've said it before, but Colton Haynes has really grown leaps and bounds with his acting this season. Now with some Argus mercenary trickery, Roy is able to fake his death, but now has to leave Starling. But I imagine we're going to see him back before the end of the season. It's been known that Haynes' contract was coming up as a full cast member, and due to the other projects he has on his hands right now, he's basically going to be bumped back to a guest star on the show, for now at least. Number 2. The Arrow is dead. It has finally come to be that the Arrow is no more. The after effects of Roy's plan is that Oliver can no longer be the Arrow. This causes an identity crisis of immense proportions for Oliver. Remember, Oliver already did not know how to be both Oliver Queen and the Arrow. Now he has no choice but to be Oliver Queen. Or maybe something else. In this episode, we see Oliver again at his weakest moments, as he has to rely on everyone around him, and it frustrates him to no end. With Lance still on his Arrow hunt, Oliver will have no peace in Starling City anymore. So who will he choose to be? Number 1. Oliver will beg. Naturally, the biggest moment of the night happened at the very end. Raish is beyond annoyed at this point with Oliver, so he elects to force his hand. Unfortunately, this comes in the form of killing Thea. She goes out swinging and kicking, but never had a chance. The demon's head guts her with his sword and leaves, knowing Oliver will have no choice but to come to him now. Now, the impact of this was a little bit lessened, as it was slightly alluded to earlier in the episode with Merlin talking with Oliver and basically mentioning that, no one that you love has been taken yet. So it lessened that impact a little bit, but it was still a very high impact way to end the episode. Alright, so my final thoughts. This was a confusing episode for me, as I did not like seeing Oliver unable to do anything. I mean, at this point, we don't know the extent of his skills, but we do know he can easily avoid being seen by police officers. So in my mind, they basically nerfed him for the sake of the story. As it was a pretty good one, I'll give him a pass on it, I guess. Felicity is just messed up at this point. She is obviously in love with Oliver and using Ray to hide from it. As much as he doesn't want to admit it, Ray is starting to see the signs now. I do like the idea of metahumans popping up outside of Central City, and I get the feeling this is going to play into the spin-off series quite nicely. So next week looks like Oliver goes to Raish, and we get some Lazarus Pit action. Alright guys, those are my top moments of the episode. Go and let me know down in the comments below what yours are. And if you have any questions on the episode, go and put those down in the comments below as well. Be more than happy to go over that information with you. If you've enjoyed the video, ask you definitely pound that like button and go and subscribe to my channel. That way you can receive an alert when I post my next Arrow video, as well as the other Marvel and DC videos I'm doing at this time. And if you have subscribed already, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on board, and I hope you're enjoying the videos. Alright guys, all that being said, hope everyone has a great rest of your day now. Bye.